When my wife died suddenly while cheating with a toy boy in a hotel, I rushed over after receiving a call from the police, only to see the toy boy kneeling on the floor, incessantly calling out Liu Ruyan's name. I looked up and locked eyes directly with Liu Ruyan's soul. She was exasperated, threatening me not to hurt his sweetheart. I sneered. Then let's see how much your sweetheart actually cares. Seeing me standing there in silence, the police and the forensic doctor said somewhat urgently, "Mr. Gu." This call interrupted Lin Ye's wailing. He finally raised his head from beside Liu Ruyan's body. Liu Ruyan's obsession with this Lin Yi had reached the extreme. Even knowing her heart was weak, she tried taking this kind of stimulating drug for him. Speaking of Liu Ruyan's sincerity, I glanced at that illusory figure floating above and couldn't help but let out a scoff. Her sincerity was even more hypocritical than her acting in variety shows. As soon as Lin Yi saw me, a flash of panic crossed his eyes, and then he suddenly stood up, face flushed red, and lunged toward me. Seeing this, Liu Ruyan's soul instinctively tried to stop him, blocking the space between us just as she did when she was alive. Unfortunately, she was now just a wisp of nothingness, watching helplessly as Lin Yi passed through her body and lunged at me. "Hey, Yi, don't do this!" she cried out anxiously, then glared at me ferociously. "Jiu Che, if you dare touch a single hair on his head, I'm not finished with you." I had heard such threats too many times, but unfortunately, only I could hear her words. Lin Yi aggressively tried to grab my collar, his expression distorted. I quickly dodged, and fortunately the police restrained him in time. Otherwise, the scene would have looked even uglier. "Mr. Lin, please calm down. Miss Liu's affairs should naturally be handled by her husband, Jiu Che." Apparently, the police had sensed the relationship between the two and deliberately emphasized the status of husband. Lin Yi froze for a moment, the expression on his face becoming even more twisted, looking just like those disgraced celebrities whose scandals had been exposed, utterly hideous. "I want to report a crime. Liu Ruyan was definitely killed by him. This couldn't be an accident," Lin Yi shouted hysterically. The police sighed helplessly. Seeing his agitation, I took a few steps back. It would be troublesome if a little model who climbed his way up through pillow talk managed to injure me. Liu Ruyan stood beside Lin Yi now, staring at me with cold eyes. Although I couldn't see her expression clearly, I knew she must also suspect it was my doing. Just as the police were about to speak, I beat them to it. "Defamation without evidence is a crime. I can sue you." Lin Yi gritted his teeth, burning with rage. I felt there was no need to linger further and reminded him, "While you still can, go back and pack the things Liu Ruyan left you." I paused for a moment. "These are all joint assets between Liu Ruyan and me, according to the law. Only I and Xiao Heng can inherit her estate. Mr. Lin, do you think I will ask for the money spent on you to be returned?" Lin Yi, who had been sobbing, instantly froze his expression. Seeing that Lin Yi was no longer making a scene, the police immediately signaled their colleagues to take him away. After Lin Yi was taken, Liu Ruyan wanted to chase after him but was blocked at the door by some mysterious force, unable to move. I watched her pathetic state with cold eyes. "Mr. Gu, we'll leave Miss Liu's follow-up matters to you." After the police said this to me, the police had clearly completed the relevant investigation before contacting me, given that Liu Ruyan indeed died accidentally from taking prohibited drugs. They only asked about some daily circumstances on the way and didn't delve deeper. I really didn't have the courage to look at Liu Ruyan's current appearance, especially her face after death. That greenish complexion would probably keep me awake at night. After arranging for my secretary and lawyer to handle the aftermath, I intended to head home. Although the nanny had already picked up Xiao Heng, I was still worried. Xiao Heng had lacked a mother's love since he was a child and was particularly attached to me. I worried he would get emotional if he didn't see me. After finishing the necessary instructions and confirming the secretary was about to arrive, I immediately rushed to the airport for the nearest flight. I was already certain of one thing. Liu Ruyan's soul seemed bound to my side by some force. Looking at Liu Ruyan floating near the cabin ceiling, I couldn't help but narrow my eyes. Things were getting interesting. As soon as I landed, I received a video from the nanny. In the frame, Xiao Heng was wearing cute bear pajamas, his big eyes blinking, refusing to go to sleep, constantly calling for his father. The nanny told him his father was watching him through the phone, and only then did he barely show a smile and sit properly. "Daddy. Xiaoheng really wants to sleep with Daddy. When are you coming back? My son, Xiaoheng, is 5 years old this year and should start primary school in a few months. He still has a milky voice when he speaks, which melts my heart." I immediately quickened my pace toward the exit. The secretary had already arranged the pickup, and I was home in less than half an hour. Pushing open the door, I saw the nanny accompanying Xiaoheng as he read a picture book. Hearing the noise, Xiaoheng immediately ran and threw himself into my arms. I held him tightly, whispering comforts, and then took him back to his room to prepare for sleep, telling him a few interesting stories, and taking a lot of effort to coax him to sleep. During the process of caring for Xiaoheng, I noticed Liu Ruyan sitting quietly on the bay window watching. Xiaoheng was the product of Liu Ruyan's accidental pregnancy. She had no affection for me during her life, and was consequently very cold toward Xiaoheng, almost never spending time with the child. No wonder after I coaxed him for so long, Xiaoheng didn't think of his mother once. I heard her whispering low, asking herself why Xiaoheng didn't miss his mother. Hearing this made me laugh internally. Watching Xiaoheng's peaceful sleeping face, I planted a kiss on his forehead and then returned to the bedroom. I didn't care to beat around the bush with her. As soon as I sat on the bed, I got straight to the point. From the moment Xiaoheng was born until now, a full 5 years, how many times have you sincerely accompanied him? Whether it was taking him to the playground or coaxing him to sleep at night, which one did you do? Now, how do you expect him to remember you as a mother? He is closer to his kindergarten teachers than to his mother. I looked her straight in the eye. 10 years of marriage, 7 years of betrayal. That semi-transparent soul suddenly met my gaze, and the room fell into a dead silence. Her face was written with shock, the elegance of a former best actress completely gone. "You can really see me?" I didn't say a word, just stared at her with a look as if I were looking at a fool. Liu Ruyan sighed deeply, drifted to the dressing table to sit, and after finding no reflection of herself in the mirror, snorted at me with her arms crossed over her chest. "Best actress Liu, do you plan to haunt me forever?" After discovering her relationship with Lin Ye, I proposed a divorce, but she firmly disagreed, saying she couldn't leave me and that Xiaoheng needed a complete home, then used all sorts of means to obstruct it, even filing a lawsuit in a fit of rage. But I could never produce conclusive evidence of her and Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi was a newcomer she was heavily promoting, so it made sense for them to appear together frequently. After several setbacks, I had no choice but to let it go for the time being. However, on second thought, having a cash machine who only gives money seemed not bad, not causing trouble at home while providing a source of income. So I began planning assets for Xiaoheng while focusing on developing my own business empire. I had to guard against the day she might suddenly flip her lid and demand a divorce, but I didn't expect that before she could mention divorce, I would get news of her death. Liu Ruyan was an orphan, which meant all her estate could only be inherited by me and Xiaoheng. As her legal husband and biological child, this was the only thing she did right. We didn't talk again that night, and I soon fell asleep. The next morning, the secretary sent over Liu Ruyan's cremation certificate, along with a video of her being sent into the furnace. Not knowing what I was watching, Liu Ruyan slowly drifted over and happened to see the image of herself being pushed into the cremation furnace. "Seeing you so calm, is there not even a hint of sorrow?" Her voice carried a trace of fatigue. Watching me leisurely sip my coffee, her face turned terrifyingly dark. I didn't bother with her questioning. After finishing the last sip of coffee, I went to Xiaoheng's room to wake him up. He still had to go to kindergarten. Seeing that I never answered, Liu Ruyan paced around me like a trapped beast, her voice becoming increasingly shrill. "Ji, Yu Che." Xiaoheng, just waking up from his dreams, was deaf to her roar, giggling in my arms in a daze. "Daddy, today I want to bring lots of snacks to share with the other kids." While washing up, Xiaoheng was still jumping around excitedly. I smiled dotingly and helped Xiaoheng find the snacks he wanted to take to school, packed them in his bag, and sent him off. After confirming with the lawyer, I went directly to Liu Ruyan's studio. Liu Ruyan stood in the corner like a ghost, arms crossed, saying nothing. Perhaps she was expecting to see Lin Ye, but she was destined to be disappointed. After arriving at the studio, Lin Yi did not appear in our sight. Liu Ruyan's secretary already understood the whole situation and had received notice from our lawyer, immediately booking a 2 p.m. meeting for me. Following the secretary's lead, I entered Liu Ruyan's exclusive lounge. "Mr. Gu, please rest here first. I'll go prepare the relevant documents." After speaking, she hesitated for a moment and pointed to the bedroom inside. "If you feel tired, you can take a nap inside." There was a large bed in the lounge, as well as a walk-in closet and a bathroom. My brows furrowed unconsciously. Thinking about what might have happened between Liu Ruyan and Lin Ye in this space made me feel nauseous, or rather, this whole lounge might have their traces left behind. This thought made me even more uncomfortable. This place is disgusting. I avoided Liu Ruyan's gaze, took a step back, and covered my nose and mouth. "I'll just go to the conference room with Secretary Anne." Liu Ruyan stared at me with eyes full of hatred. I ignored her anger and signaled Secretary Anne to lead the way. After reviewing the documents and communicating remotely with the legal team, it was noon. Liu Ruyan also understood my intentions. When I followed Secretary Anne to get the meeting materials, Liu Ruyan was like a stalker, constantly cursing in my ear. Come to think of it, we had known each other for 10 years, and this was the first time I had seen this best actress lose her composure like this. "Jiu Che, you dare touch my company, you despicable villain. This is all mine. What right do you have to interfere?" Liu Ruyan came from an ordinary background and relied entirely on her own hard work to achieve today's success. She was a recognized model of inspiration in the industry. We got married right after graduation. Because of the special nature of the celebrity profession, Liu Ruyan and I were hidden married. But in the 7th year after marriage, she cheated. Seeing Secretary Anne helping me organize documents, I spoke coldly. "Now all of this belongs to me." I didn't want to waste more words. Liu Ruyan stood there stunned as if struck by lightning, her eyes bloodshot. "Ji Che, you will die a horrible death." After a short break after lunch, it was soon time for the afternoon meeting. Just as I reached the conference room door, voices were coming from inside. It was Lin Ye speaking. I turned my head at the door and glanced at Liu Ruyan. Seeing the expectant look in her eyes, I couldn't help but find it laughable. This stupid woman, every shareholder. Lin Ye's words drifted out intermittently. Liu Ruyan wanted to rush in, constantly using her eyes to signal defiance, but I just stood at the door, unmoving. If I didn't go in, Liu Ruyan was powerless and could only eavesdrop outside with me. "President Liu has passed away." Lin Ye's voice was faint, worried he would ruin my plan. I stopped bothering with Liu Ruyan and pushed the door open directly. "Mr. Lin, what a coincidence!" Hearing my voice, Lin Yi, wearing a brand name outfit, clearly shuddered. "Hello, shareholders." I ignored him and greeted the shareholders present. Seeing Lin Yi still standing in front of my seat, I put down my briefcase and looked at him meaningfully. Does Mr. Lin still have business? People like Lin Yi are too easy to see through. They can't hide their thoughts. His eyes had already betrayed everything. Just like 5 years ago when he saw me again after his first tryst with Liu Ruyan, that smug, provocative look in his eyes. It was the same now. One could see through him at a glance. He wanted to unite the shareholders and use Liu Ruyan's company to seek more profit for himself. But Liu Ruyan was blind. She was oblivious to the calculation in Lin Ye's eyes, instead misinterpreting his dodging glance toward Director Shen as cowardice. Just that one look made Liu Ruyan's heart ache like a young girl in love. She drifted to my side, trying to threaten me with her eyes. "Ji Che, if you dare touch him, I won't let you go, even as a ghost." Tiesk, as a ghost? I didn't bother with her, coldly sizing up Director Shen, that sophisticated face that couldn't hide wrinkles under exquisite makeup. Lin Ye's taste was truly poor, but I also knew Lin Ye's situation. Among the shareholders present, who wasn't aware of the entanglement between Lin Ye and Liu Ruyan? Now Lin Ye was like a time bomb. Anyone with any judgment would stay away. From that perspective, although Director Shen was over 50, she was elegant and wealthy. I gently pushed Lin Ye aside, moved the chair to a suitable position, and sat down. I called everyone here today mainly to discuss the company's future direction. I turned to signal Secretary An, asking her to explain Liu Ruyan's recent situation to the shareholders in detail. Secretary An looked a bit hesitant, but still braced herself to step forward and recount the events of Liu Ruyan's death. When the sudden death was mentioned, all the shareholders' eyes fell on Lin Yi with suspicion. The fact that the marriage between Liu Ruyan and me existed in name only was well known. and Lin Yi was the young boy Liu Ruyan had favored most in recent years. No one would believe this accident had nothing to do with Lin Yi, but only Lin Yi and Liu Ruyan were in the hotel. Lin Yi insisted it was an accident, and the police could do nothing. Even the look Director Shen gave Lin Yi lost its former warmth. Lin Yi kept his head low, his red-rimmed eyes full of bottled-up emotion. I tapped the table and dropped a bombshell. I don't know much about the operations of Ruyan's company. After careful consideration, I've decided to sell the entire company. Given everyone's contribution to the company, acquisition rights will be prioritized for those present. I took a stack of the secretary's business cards from my bag and handed them to Lin Ye, my lips curling into a smirk. I'll have to trouble Assistant Lin to help distribute these. Initially in front of me, Lin Ye was very restrained out of concern for Liu Ruyan, but 2 months later, finding that we indeed had nothing to do with each other, he became unscrupulous, showing off the limited edition sneakers Liu Ruyan gave him. At this moment, being ordered around by me, Lin Ye didn't react for a second, his face turning red as he clenched his fists, although Liu Ruyan was burning with rage. She could do nothing to me. Director Shen, however, spoke up for Lin Ye. She waved her hand elegantly, her voice gentle. Mr. Gu, please be convenient. Don't make things difficult for Assistant Lin. She then had her secretary take the cards to distribute. I raised an eyebrow, indifferent. Once the cards were distributed, I added, I'll give everyone 3 days to consider. After that, I'll arrange for someone to take over this company. After speaking, I got up to walk to the door, then turned back to look at Lin Yi. Mr. Lin, don't forget our agreement at the police station. I'll come to claim it. You'd better prepare in advance. With that, I left. That invisible force pulled Liu Ruyan, forcing her to follow me step by step away from the company. In the car, Liu Ruyan sat beside me, seeing my insistence on selling the company and making things difficult for Lin Ye. She finally compromised, her tone softening. Ache, I admit I owed you, but I've always been good to you. Please, transfer the company to Song Xin and don't trouble Lin Ye anymore. Song Xin was Liu Ruyan's earliest partner and a witness to our wedding. However, today I only saw his secretary come to offer condolences. I looked down at the video the kindergarten teacher had just sent to my phone. In the frame, Xiao Heng was taking snacks out of his bag, giving them one by one to his classmates. The children excitedly formed a circle with Xiao Heng in the center, singing and dancing, clapping their hands. Xiao Heng was in the middle, his eyes crinkled in a smile, extremely happy. Seeing no response from me, Liu Ruyan leaned over and saw Xiao Heng's happy appearance. The words she wanted to say got stuck in her throat, and she just repeatedly stared at Xiao Heng's brilliant smile on the phone. The car stopped in front of the villa. As soon as I got out, I saw the secretary rushing over. Accompanying me to the hotel until now, he had been running around, his eyes full of fatigue. Thinking about those business cards I just handed out, I suddenly felt a bit bad. Double year-end bonus this year! I patted his shoulder and walked into the house. Hearing this, the secretary's spirits instantly lifted. He hurried in and took out the death certificate. These have been handed to the lawyers. They are processing the transfer to you and the young master. I took the documents, looked at them, and deliberately threw them toward where Liu Ruyan was. It's been hard on you lately. I told him about today's situation. Just as I finished, his phone rang. With my permission, he turned on the speakerphone to answer. From the other end came an elegant female voice. Tell Mr. Gu, I want this company. It was Director Shen's mature and sophisticated voice. I took a sip of water. At this time, with this tone, well, Lin Yi certainly knew how to work things. I didn't agree immediately. I told the driver to prepare to pick up Xiao Heng. Many parents had already gathered at the kindergarten entrance, luxury cars one after another. The one Xiao Heng attended was a high-end private kindergarten. The parent circle was very refined, and one rarely encountered anything unpleasant. I nodded slightly to the other parents. One parent walked over. It was the father of Xiao Heng's classmate, Tiantian. My daughter ate the snacks Xiao Heng shared today and liked them very much. Is it convenient to tell me where you bought them? Tiantian's father asked with a smile. I immediately forwarded the purchase link to him. Tiantian's father then dialed his wife's phone. I silently stepped aside, looking at the scene of children playing with teachers in the classroom. Xiao Heng spotted me and waved happily, his face overflowing with a sweet smile. This child has always been so sensible. Seeing Xiao Heng was distracted. The teacher gave me an understanding smile and led him back to the class to continue the activity. Liu Ruyan suddenly appeared beside me, scanned the parents picking up their children, and asked hesitantly, "Did you always come to pick him up yourself before?" I gave her an impatient, disgusted look. Is the child's mother not already gone? This sentence stuck in Liu Ruyan's throat. She was already upset with me because of the afternoon, and now her face turned deathly pale, as if all the blood had been drained. Seeing her like this, I felt a secret thrill. After all, after being in love for so many years and married for so long, I knew best what words would sting her heart the most. Before, to keep her as a cash machine, I endured and didn't say it. But now, it didn't matter. As soon as the school bell rang, Xiao Heng ran over to hug me and said goodbye to the teacher. After sitting in the car, Xiao Heng waved his little hands excitedly, sharing today's fun with me. Suddenly he widened his eyes. "Daddy? Meng Meng said every kid has a daddy and a mommy. Why is there only daddy around me?" Xiao Heng's tone was full of pure confusion. I secretly let out a sigh of relief. From the day Xiao Heng was born, I had my own plan. Although Liu Ruyan occasionally came to see him, I always made excuses to put it off. Even if I occasionally let them meet, it was only when Xiao Heng was fast asleep. As Xiao Heng grew up, she was busy accompanying Lin Ye, and came even less, so Xiao Heng had no impression of his mother at all. Liu Ruyan watched me from the side, seemingly waiting to see how I would answer. I chose to ignore her, thought for a moment, and decided to tell Xiao Heng the truth. Xiao Heng was more sensible and mature than children his age. I hoped to interact with him in a way that was both father-son and friendship. I calmly told Xiao Heng about the grievances and entanglements with Liu Ruyan over the past decade or so. Speaking of the moment I discovered her betrayal, even after so long, my voice was still somewhat choked and my vision blurred. I sensed Liu Ruyan wanting to come closer to comfort me. How ridiculous! I lifted Xiao Heng out of the child's seat and held him tightly in my arms. With Xiao Heng, Daddy isn't afraid of anything. After hearing the whole story, Xiao Heng couldn't stop crying. Not until the car stopped at the house did he slowly calm down, those watery big eyes blinking hard, trying to hold back tears. "Daddy, we don't need anyone else." Xiao Heng will always be with you. Looking at his cute and heartbreaking appearance, I couldn't help but smile, hugging him even tighter. Good! In the future, I'll rely on Xiao Heng to protect me. Watching Xiao Heng follow Uncle Li into the house, I sat in the car alone for a while, staring blankly at the empty passenger seat. While telling the past just now, Liu Ruyan was silent the whole time. Perhaps she never thought her actions would bring such deep harm to others, and now she couldn't speak. Liu Ruyan suddenly spoke, her voice irritating. I just wanted to be alone and didn't want to hear her explain anything at all. I pushed the door and got out, my leather shoes making a crisp sound on the ground. Liu Ruyan, as if pulled by something, could only follow silently behind me. Time quickly came to the third day. After sending Xiao Heng to kindergarten, I went to Liu Ruyan's company again. Secretary Li took me directly to the conference room. On the way, I had already learned about the situation from the secretary. Although Liu Ruyan's company was doing well, among the people who contacted me these past few days, Director Shen offered the most generous terms. She later took the initiative to add more, offering an even better quote. Although Liu Ruyan knew my plan, she wasn't as agitated as before this time, only pleading with me in a low voice before entering the conference room, "Don't be too harsh on Lin Ye." It seemed she really cared about Lin Ye. Thinking about the message the secretary just sent, I ignored her request and pushed open the conference room door with great interest. I wondered if she could still plead for Lin Ye after seeing the scene inside. The door slowly opened, and what came into view was Lin Ye sitting beside Director Shen. Unlike his usual little puppy image and the gentle side he showed in front of Liu Ruyan, he now had the top 3 buttons of his white shirt undone, faintly revealing a solid chest. His black trousers perfectly outlined the lines of his long legs, and he exuded an enticing charm. Director Shen's fingertips gently brushed across his shoulder, as expected. My deduction was proven right. They indeed got together after that meeting ended. I remember Director Shen was breathing heavily during our first call. She must have just finished a tryst with Lin Ye. When I walked into the conference room wearing a casual suit, Lin Ye arrogantly lifted his chin, his eyes full of showing off. Glancing at Liu Ruyan standing next to Lin Ye, I sighed inwardly. Having witnessed Liu Ruyan's testing so many times during this period, I was already used to it. After taking a seat, I looked around at the attending shareholders and got straight to the point. I've received many inquiries recently. After careful consideration, I intend to transfer the shares to Director Shen. I then took the prepared legal documents from the secretary and handed them to Director Shen. I wish us a happy cooperation. Director Shen withdrew her hand from Lin Ye's shoulder, carefully reviewed the contract content, and then signed her name. Mr. Gu, happy cooperation. Liu Ruyan was already exhausted, leaning against the corner with a deathly pale face. Amidst the noise of the meeting, her murmurs could faintly be heard. What did I do wrong to go for such a man? But these had nothing to do with me anymore. Seeing the scheme succeed, Lin Ye unscrupulously put his arm around Director Shen. Director Shen was enchanted by the handsome man and signaled to me triumphantly. Mr. Gu, why not show some mercy and let Yi go? The shareholders who didn't get shares all looked up, waiting to see the show. I was also happy to give Director Shen this face, turning my head to say, Director Shen also knows Assistant Lin has spent quite a lot of my wife's money. No one should think about touching what belongs to me and Xiaoheng. Lin Yi put on a victimized look, calling out softly, Director Shen. His tone tinged with coquetry. Director Shen dotingly signaled her secretary to take out a bank card. The amount in this card should be enough to offset Ye's previous expenses. She even threw me a wink. Mr. Gu, if you have needs in the future, just speak up. I didn't bother to respond. Anyway, there would be no more interaction in the future. Taking the card, I said calmly, congratulations to Director Shen on getting what she wanted. Walking out of the company gate, I looked back. The skyscrapers pierced the clouds, and people were coming and going in an endless stream. Suddenly, my thoughts drifted back to university days. The young Liu Ruyan had once sincerely promised the green Ji Che to stay together for a lifetime, but now things had changed. Seeing the secretary following me cautiously, I couldn't help but be amused. Take a few days off after this busy period. He looked at me in surprise and then asked tremblingly, what about the year-end bonus? Am I, this boss, that scary? I raised my briefcase and tapped his head lightly. Ask again and the double bonus is cancelled. He immediately backed down. When I heard news of Lin Ye again, it was through a friend in the circle. Although Director Shen was as rich as a country, she never supported idle people for nothing. The reason she stood up for Lin Ye was just because she craved his beauty. Since Liu Ruyan was temporarily untouchable, once she had enough, she naturally discarded him. It's easy to go from frugality to luxury, but hard to go back, maneuvering among various presidents. Lin Yi quickly became famous in the circle and finally died accidentally during a tryst. Coincidentally, on that very day, Liu Ruyan also completely disappeared, ever since witnessing Lin Ye's true face. Liu Ruyan had fallen into silence. I often forgot there was an inseparable her by my side. But I didn't care, and still lived a carefree life. In life, being happy is most important. In a flash, more than 10 years passed. The grown-up Xiaoheng, becoming even more handsome, became popular all over the internet because of a photo of him drinking milk tea by the road. Out of interest in acting, after several considerations, Xiaoheng entered the entertainment industry. On this matter, Xiaoheng was very stubborn. I proposed helping him find better scripts through connections, but he disagreed, starting from small roles in the industry on his own. Whether it was a passerby with only one shot or the male lead with the most scenes, Xiaoheng would immerse himself, repeatedly pondering details, very dedicated and very happy. The only trouble might be that Xiaoheng reduced the number of times he came home. It was the end of another summer. Xiaoheng came back from the film crew and asked me if I would like to participate in a variety show with him. This was a variety show featuring family companionship, mainly about spending time together. I haven't been out traveling with Daddy for a long time, so I thought about taking Daddy along. Outside, Xiaoheng was the top star Ji Yuheng loved by thousands of girls. In front of me, Xiaoheng had always been this sensible and obedient, yet occasionally acting spoiled. Seeing that I didn't respond for a long time, Xiaoheng kept tugging at my sleeve. Daddy, please. A few days later, the equipment and personnel from the production team moved into the apartment. President Ji Yu, this is the filming of the pilot episode. The assistant director pushed his glasses, his tone carrying a hint of testing. Xiaoheng had mentioned this to me long ago. I accompanied him and sat in front of the camera. The staff asked many questions about Xiaoheng's childhood, and I answered them one by one. During this, Xiao occasionally chimed in to liven up the atmosphere, and the whole filming went smoothly. The first stop of the variety show was a certain holiday resort. Because it was a life recording program, there weren't many cameramen following us, and we actually had a very good time. As the recording neared its end, coming to the final battle of the last leg, we arrived at the Hengdian World Studios. The climate here was pleasant. Xiao was arranged by the director to film other content, so I went to the set alone. Lights were brilliant, and the sounds were bustling. I was carrying a few lunchboxes, and many extras gathered around. After chatting for a while, once Xiao returned, we went to the nearby night market together. Neon lights flickered, and sounds were noisy. Perhaps having had a bit of beer, Xiao cheeks were flushed, and his eyes were sparkling. "Daddy, I've always wanted to let you experience my work." By the end, Xiao voice was somewhat choked. I smiled and rubbed his hair, just like coaxing him to sleep when he was a child, whispering comfort. Xiao is already very outstanding now. Xiao has been very sensible since he was a child, doing things with measure, and would actively come to ask me if he didn't understand something, never acting recklessly. Entering the entertainment industry was Xiao well-considered choice, and clearly, he made it, becoming a high-profile powerhouse actor. I feel proud and very happy to have such an excellent son. After the variety show ended, Xiao continued his acting career but no longer worked as desperately as before. After every movie wrapped up, he would give himself a 2-month holiday to come back and accompany the aging me. I had already handed over the management company to professional managers to handle, and every day I was either shopping or inviting a few friends to play golf or vacation. No woman, still living very comfortably. Li Ruyan's perspective outside. After leaving Ji Yuche's side, I didn't fall into an endless abyss as expected, opening my eyes again. I returned to high school when I first met Ji Yuche. Not far away, Ji Yuche was wearing a neat school uniform and black-framed glasses, laughing and talking with friends. In the previous life, I got to know him by taking the opportunity to deliver a script. He was very good. I gripped the first page of the script forcefully. I didn't dare approach him again. For these 2 years of high school, I always watched Ji Yuche secretly, without me. Ji Yuche didn't lose his luster but instead became even more dazzling because he didn't have to consider my pitiful self-esteem. He was admitted to a well-known art academy before the college entrance examination. I couldn't help but smile bitterly. It turns out, while I didn't know, he had sacrificed so much for me. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't catch up with his footsteps, finally only getting into an ordinary university near the academy he attended. Gradually, the gap between me and him became larger and larger. As a freshman, he naturally became the most dazzling presence on campus. Just the suitors I knew of numbered over a dozen, and they were all school beauty-level figures, far beyond what I was back then. And I was like a piece of trash that fell into a swamp, unable to climb out no matter what. Meeting Lin Yi again was in my 6th year of working. Too many failed subjects in university led to a delayed graduation, missing the best recruitment period. After several setbacks, I, with limited ability, could only work as an online car-hailing driver. I picked up an order for a high-end hotel. My shabby second-hand car was out of place with the luxury of the hotel. After dialing the phone, a familiar voice came through. "Okay, coming down now." It was Lin Ye. After waiting for a while, Lin Ye, wearing an expensive custom suit, elegantly sat in the back seat. Lin Ye's family background was ordinary. It was impossible for him to afford this kind of luxury hotel. I took a deep breath, and images of Lin Yi snuggling beside Director Shen in the previous life surfaced in my mind. This was his true face. Pretending from start to finish, I was too stupid. "Drive your car! What are you looking at?" Lin Yi tucked away the politeness from the phone and impatiently straightened his collar. Only then did I realize I had been staring at the rearview mirror. Lin Yi snorted and took out his phone. A bad review is unavoidable. I could no longer muster any energy, my mind constantly flashing with bits and pieces of being with Ji Yuche. Clearly having had the best, how could I be misled by this kind of person? I leaned weakly against the driver's seat. The phone soon sent a prompt, and, looking down, it was indeed a 1-star review from Lin Ye. I smiled bitterly and clicked on Ji Yuche's social media account. No longer needing to compromise for me, Ji Yuche had taken the path that suited him best. In the latest video he posted, Ji Yuche stood on the award stage, elegant, generous, confident, and composed.